We're getting back to work on BlueSteel from Matt's Off-Road Recovery, but I've got some exciting news for you guys. I'd like to thank Avalon King because as of today, we are going to be doing a long-term sponsorship deal with Sarah and David from Avalon King. Now, the reason we're doing that is because I've been using their product for so long now. I've got it on the 57 windshield. We've got it on the 23 Toyota Sequoia. I'm putting it on my new truck. We are going to be coating this truck right behind me as soon as we get it done because we want to protect the paint. And that is what Avalon King does. Their ceramic coating is an amazing coating that protects your paint. So, I've got my beautiful wife here to announce with me that we have decided to team up and do a long-term deal with Avalon King. By us doing this sponsorship deal with Sarah and David, they want to offer you guys a buy one, get one free. So if you click the short link in the description below, the first 150 people are going to be getting not one, but 2 kits of Armor Shield Light for the price of 1. So make sure you click that link in the description, head over, get yourself 2 kits, and thank you to Avalon King for sponsoring this video, and we look forward to our future with Avalon King. Now we have a bunch of dents to fix in BlueSteel, so let's get to work. A fuel tank showed up today. Maybe you can start working on that. So I'm gonna work on bodywork, Hillbilly's gonna work on a fuel tank that showed up, Matt's gonna be able to go even further and run out of diesel even better because he's gonna have a bigger fuel tank. So once Hefe or somebody else on the crew fills the tank up, Matt can just run it out for even longer. We're gonna get working on that as long as everything is here to install that.
Putting the legs underneath it, we don't need to lift it, we're just putting them underneath there so they're out of our way and we don't trip on them.
All right, so I just went into the office with Steve and our Titan tank that just showed up, it actually had somebody else's name on it. So we called the company and they did a reversey switchy and they accidentally sent our tank to New Jersey and New Jersey's tank to us. And so tomorrow they're gonna send a new one to them and to us and get it all fixed. So unfortunately, you're not gonna see us put a tank in this today. So we're just gonna work on some body work. That's fine. Now you guys know that we're putting a Titan tank in this. I was gonna show you all the cool things, all the cool features, but that's not today. All right, so BlueSteel is in. Now, some of you guys took me really, really serious on one of the videos where I said that BlueSteel hood is already fixed. I was just joking. What I meant by that is the fact that it's got a Robby Layton sticker and a bleepin' Jeep trail repair. So I jokingly said, oh, it's fixed. We'll just go ahead and leave that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mark, whoa, we're not gonna do that. The yellow got a little bit crazy. This is a paint pen and it got a little out of control. So right here, we're gonna fix.
It's saying, paint me the same color as the banana.
Yeah, it's exactly what it's trying to say. This blue identifies as yellow. All right, so you can see that. That's all gonna get ground off. We've got a dent here, so we're gonna fix that right here. It looks like the fender, it's got a bunch of damage right here, so there's a dent there. This is all damaged, that's all damaged. We're gonna take care of all that. I was originally gonna just change this out, put a new fender on it, but where's the fun in that? We're gonna fix this. Another thing is we're fixing the hood, so we're gonna end up blending the whole thing. So I'm not gonna fix every single little scratch and ding. Well, I'm not gonna fix every single little scratch and rock chip, but I am gonna look over it and look for dents. So it's looking pretty good so far. And it's really not that rock chipped. It's in honestly pretty good shape. But we do have a dent right here. So we're gonna fix that. And that appears to be about it. We've only got a few dents. That little one over there, this big one here, and over on this side. That bad. Just trying to make sure I get everything. Originally, I did say we were gonna go into the door, but that was because I was gonna be changing the fender. But because we're fixing the fender, we don't actually need to go into the door to blend it. So we are gonna change this cover. We're still gonna do, what else? Cover on the mirror. We're gonna pull the light, pull the grill, and just get into it. It's easier to, it'll be easier to show you what we're gonna do than try to guess and tell you. Oh, we don't even need to take the underhood pad. I was about to say we need to take the underhood pad off so that we can get the squirters out, but it's already done. We are gonna pull the grill off. Looks like it's just some 10mm bolts. So I'll grab the gun. Grill's pretty simple. Work it out. It's got some clips on the bottom. Oh, there it is. I see the clip that needs to release. So I'll grab my tool and we'll get that released. So I went and got my big crow's foot. This is called the crow's foot. Can you guess why? Because it looks like a crow's foot. It'll let me get all the way down in here to where I can release Release the hounds. So you just gotta push these clips to release them. If I can push them correctly. Just put a little bit of pressure. Push from the top down. So I've got Steve getting me a screwdriver. I've got 2 clips that just don't want to release. One in the center and one on this left side. I'll hurry and grab that, finish getting this grill off, and then we'll start working on the headlight. I thought that they had already changed this grill, but I'm thinking that they didn't. So I'll have to talk to Matt. I doubt he'll want to change this over just a little bit of broken fins where this is a work truck, but you never know. And where he's the customer's always right. I'll let the customer make the decision. Just like such. Always helps to have the right tools. We'll get these bolts out. These are not very tight. So whoever installed this Hefe didn't tighten it up too much. Now, one thing I did notice is that this headlight's not in all the way. So I want to see why, but I have a suspicion that there's a lineup pin that wasn't in all the way. See that? So you got to kind of be a little rough on it, which they didn't do. So now I've got this light back where it needs to be. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it out. So I've got to make sure that this flange fits the headlight. So this headlight's going to be in and out 2 or 3 times. I'll show you what I was talking about by not lining up. So when I first looked at this, it had this big old 1/2 inch gap. But that was because it needed to be popped in. I can see there's damage right there on that edge. And then this whole thing. So I'll pull the headlight out. Get it all I'll get all the wiring unhooked. Get the bolt out. Hefe. That tab is broken. See if, oh, that one's broken too. Hefe. We've got, that means that these connectors, I'll show you. Look, they don't lock. So we're gonna have to take care of that. I'll have to get some new connectors. This one, I believe, that's locking. So they didn't break that one. But we've got this connector that's broken and this connector that's broken. So we'll see if we can get a couple new pigtails. I'll show you guys how to do that once we get them and get it right. So we're gonna set this out of the way for now. So another thing I wanna do real quick is I wanna introduce you guys again to Steve. You've seen him on the channel. Steve is our full-time tow operator now. He's also Hillbilly's father-in-law. So Steve's been on with us for quite a while, but he's more or less been in the body shop doing towing. Now we're bringing him onto the YouTube side. So he helps with filming. He helps with things that I need. He's just an all-around good help. Go-getter. When we talk about Steve, this is Steve. Now you know. Because if you didn't know, now you do.
You're gonna do the fender first or the...
Yep, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna detrim the fender. So what that means is everything that's connected to the fender is gonna come off. So we've got a splash shield, we've got this lower, whatchamacallit thingy. All right, so it looks like this is a 5.5. This is like one of the only times I use this small of a socket on anything to do with vehicles. Ford likes to put 11 millimeters, 5.5 millimeters. Can't reach that one. They like to put different size. That looks like it's about an 8. And then we've got another couple bolts up here in the front. They're 8s as well. Thank you, Ford. We're always using different size stuff on the same assembly. Ford likes to use self-threading bolts. That's what these two are. Basically, they punch a hole and they put these bolts with the little bitty cutters on them to where they can cut their own threads. Ford does that in a lot of different things. See, that one's not. That one's just threaded. That one goes into a threaded hole. So, looks like that's all the bolts. Should come right. Oh, hello, Sand Hollow. We did go over to the car wash and kind of get some of this mud and gunk off, but it's hard to get up inside and get everything. So, just like that. That is called your splash shield. So that keeps most of the debris and water and everything out of the inside engine compartment. But as you can see, over time, this stuff builds up. Splash shield's out. All we've got is this emblem. Got it. All right, so on the hood, we're just gonna get everything ready to come off. Now these are just, this wiring goes to the light. It's an inertia, I don't know if it's an inertia switch or what, but there's a little ball in there. So when you raise this up and down, the light actually shuts off and comes back on. Where we're gonna be pulling the hood, I just wanna get everything ready. So we'll carefully pull these Christmas tree zip ties out. If they break, we can replace them. So that's nice. Yep, just like that when that one broke. But what I will do is I'm gonna leave the light on the hood. That way we don't break the light or any of the connections there. Another thing is we're gonna get the washer squirters off. I will just pop this clip out, leave it, and then we don't want to break the squirters, but 9 times out of 10, these squirters do break. Look at that. Steve's not just a pretty face.
Apart from a pretty face.
Yeah. All right, so we were successful. Did not break the squirters. It was the first time for everything. We're just trying to get everything stripped down so that we can pull the fender and hood off once we get the metal work done. So now we've got it to a point where we're just going to rip the Band-Aid right off. We're just going to make it quick.
Pull hard so it don't hurt.
Oh, I'm sorry, BlueSteel. So we're gonna get these all cleaned off and then we'll start some body work. So this is probably the best adhesive remover I've ever used in my entire life. And no, this is not sponsored. This is just a real life thing. It's called Acrysolvent and it's from TranStar. And it cuts adhesive like nothing else in the world. It is the greatest, most bestest stuff ever. Check this out. Not sponsored, but just really, really good stuff. At least my sticker doesn't come off. It's like permanent. That's what we want. We want it to never, ever come off. Okay, fine. We'll grind it off. So if you ever want to remove your sticker, just don't plan on it. It is not going to let go. It's going to hold on for dear life. All right, so now sit back, relax, and enjoy an awesome little montage of me grinding all these dents. So that only took me like 2.5 seconds to get that all ground. All right, so I'm not gonna grind this yet because I wanna fold it over and make sure it fits. I just don't wanna try to grind and take too much of the metal off. So I'm gonna work on the hood for a minute and then we'll go back to the fender, you know, fitting it and all that stuff. But the next step when you're fixing a dent, so you get your grinder out, you grind your nice area where you've got all your damage still. You wanna grab a DA with 80 grit. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feather all of my grinder marks out because the way you wanna do body work is none of your filler is gonna go over on top of your paint. Only glaze. All right, so this is my DA I was just telling you about. Got my 80 grit. I'm gonna do exactly what I just told you. I'm gonna take that off grinder mode. All right, so this is a properly feathered repair area. So what I can do now is I can pull the metal, get it all ready for filler, and as you see, everything's feathered, so I don't have grinder marks into the paint. This is all gonna help with the longevity of your repair work. If you leave these grinder marks and you take body filler and you put it over it, and then you try to use 80 grit and you sand it out, you're gonna get all these unnecessary grinder marks and unnecessary sand scratches that are gonna shrink. And what I mean by shrink is down the road, it's gonna suck into those scratches and you're gonna actually see all the scratches come through the clear coat. And that's what you don't want. All right, we've got that all, the hood is all ground, it's all DA'd, it is ready for metalwork. But before we can go on to metalwork, let's go back to that fender. So on the fender, I looked in here and we've got some foam that's separating. So once we get all the metalwork done, we're gonna actually re-glue that. So what I wanna do now is I'm gonna dolly it. Now I'm not talking your kid's dolly, I'm talking a toe dolly. Give it a little. So I don't wanna get so super crazy with it. I just want the metal to kind of massage it back. Now I've got to somehow get this flattened out. I've got this lip that's kind of being gonna be a pain in the butt. So now what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll get this hump out of it. I've got to bend this back, get it all flat. But one thing I wanted to do is get this roll back to where it needs to be because I don't want to put a lot of filler in that roll. But we're just about there. So what I'll probably do now is go grab one of my hooks so I can hook this out and get this metal where it needs to be. The nice thing about metal is it has memory. So if you can just put it back where it belongs, it'll remember that it's supposed to be there. I like these little T-hooks because I can just kind of finesse. What I'll do is I'll pull pressure, little tap-tappy, little tap-tap-taparoo, and then we'll use the Maxi from Dents to get that all lined back up. This is where a little bit of patience and finesse come into play. Super gentle. And it's starting to come back together. Now, what I'll do here in a minute is I'll put my dolly on the face of it and I'll hit from the back. So I'm just trying to get all this metal worked back into position. And then we're gonna fit the light, see how it looks. All right, so we got that in. Now, once we foam it, it'll stay in. So I think our next move is gonna be just getting it foamed so that that will stay in there. That metal is not bad. I'm just fine tuning a little bit of metal work. We've about got it right where I want it. I'll go along and I'll just kind of hem my edge over a little bit. And then I'll fine tune it with my pliers and we'll get this thing foamed. So I'm gonna hold this, kind of pull out a little bit. What I'm trying to do is make this edge more squared off. We're gonna grind this out. That's gonna need pulled right here just a little bit. We'll use the Maxi to get that. All right, so I've got this ground as much as I'm gonna grind it. I'm gonna hurry and DA it all, get it all feathered out, and then we're gonna fit it one more time with the light, get some foam on it, and start doing some metal work. All right, we've just about got this all where we need it. So now everything's feathered. Now we'll be able to do the foam. We'll probably foam it right before we do the body filler. I'm gonna hurry and do a little bit of metal pulling. Got a little bit here and just a little bit through here that I wanna pull with the Maxi, and then we'll get that foamed. This is our Maxi DXE Steel Repair Center. This thing is amazing, and we got something cool coming. So Dents is actually sending us their aluminum repair center, which we're gonna show you guys that on another video. It should be here pretty soon, and that's gonna be a game changer for us because we're gonna be able to fix everything aluminum and do a good job at it. I just wanna go through and walk it out. So I'm just gonna use my palm because I don't want to overdo it. Just trying to do a little bit of pulling. Just a little bit. So I'm just using my hands to fill out where my low spots are. I think we're pretty well good there. This one I need to grind out just a little bit more, so I'm gonna grab my belt sander. Actually, I can use my wire wheel. The nice thing about the Dent Fix, all these tools come with the DXE kit. Got your little massager. So I can actually put this in here. Let me show you how this works. Oh, I can't get it in. I can do this. Maybe I'll do this on the hood, but you can weld it and then massage it out. So I'll use that. We'll use the pad for here real quick. So what you want to do, Just want to work that out. I like to over pull slightly, and then I'll show you what I do. So I will over pull my metal sometimes, and then I'll heat it up with my grinder. And I'll just give it a little tap tappy. Right back where it needs to be. And then finish that off. So now I can feel a little bit of an outie right there. Outie, be gone. Move it along. I'm gonna do the same thing right here on the fridge. I'm gonna grind it and then tap it and then DA it. And then this is gonna take such a minimal amount of filler, but that's what we want. Fill that just a little high right there. That high out of it. That feels really, really good. I'm really happy with how that's turned out. So we'll clean this up where our ground lead was. And this fender, oh, I can feel it's dented right here. It's very, very, very subtle. So I'll probably just fill it. There's just a tiny, tiny imperfection right here. But I think I'll just put a little skim coat right there to fix that, because it's ever so slightly. So that is done. I'm gonna double check my light. If it fits, we'll foam it. And we're gonna move on to metal work on the hood. So, I do wanna bring the back of that fender in just a tiny bit. So this is why you fit stuff, because as you're fixing it, things can move. I'm gonna move this in. I'll get this metal moved around real quick and then we'll test it again. Just gonna try to adjust this just a little bit. And this will stay in a little bit more once we get the foam on it. It's gonna keep all that in. Yeah, so we need to get that. Just got a little bit of moving some metal to do, just right here. But I'll get it. I know what's going on, and it is on the inside structure. So back to my T-handles. So right here, this inner, that'll go to there. Now let's see if that moved. Voila! Look at that. Did exactly what I wanted it to. Now, with the foam, look at that. You know, the only way that'll get any better is with a replacement. Cool. I'm gonna call that good. We're gonna foam that, and this fender's gonna be ready for some filler. Oh, now we got the hood. All right, we're gonna move on to the hood. So with this foam, it's got a 40-second work time. So you gotta be fast. So I'm gonna get it foamed, get it set. It's gonna start kicking, so I gotta be fast about it. I think I've got that to where we're just gonna hold this until it's solid, because I don't want it to separate and then not work. This is something that you wanna always be aware of when you're doing collision repairs. You wanna make sure that if any foam is in there, you replace the foam, you replace the glues, you replace anything that it comes with from the factory. And this is foamed. So it's pretty solid. We'll push that in just a little in that corner. And she's all done. I would say that that is some successful metal work.
Pretty full.
All right, so here's the massager. So see how it's just applying pressure on the outside? And we're walking that dent out. That's pretty dang good. This way, you can really work it. I'm gonna do one more, and we'll grind it. So see, we've got that little grove of pulls. It's exactly what we want. If I can find my tools that run away from me. All right, now that I've got that all ground, I'm just gonna tap, just a light little tap. That dent is literally gonzo nonzo, non-existent. So after the grind, 80 grit. That dent, non-existent. So that is how you take care of that little dent. Now we have this big, humongous one that needs to be keyed. We'll go to the other side real quick and we'll pull that before we go to the keys. This one's gonna be a bigger process. Call this the dent massager. Oh yeah, so that's just a little bit high. We'll grab the grinder, put some heat into it, just like before. All right, so the grinder will add a little bit of heat. Then it's a little bit high, a little baby tap tap. It's like spin, wash, repeat. So I can feel just a little bump and take that out of it. Feels pretty good. All right, that one's ready for filler also. So now, just the big humongous one that needs a lot of keys. Some of you may remember these keys in a couple of videos we did. They are amazing. Dent Fix sells these, and I'm gonna show you exactly how it works on this dent right here. So this will take me a minute. I'll get all these keys set up. I'll show you how to use the bridge puller. All right, now that we've got these keys set, we're gonna use our bridge puller, and we're just gonna start working this dent out. This is our bridge puller. So we'll get it all set up. Here's where this gets fun. I'm gonna start putting pressure, and you're gonna watch this dent just walk back out. I'm gonna move further up on the keys, try to pull that center, but you can see this portion's coming out really nice. All right, here we go again, putting pressure. Trying to walk this dent out. See that? Dunk. So as it releases, the metal comes back into shape. All right, so now I've got a little bit of pressure on that. I'm gonna tap it. That's just gonna release some unwanted pressure. I can see right where my eyebrow was. All right, Adley is ready for her joke.
Why does the ducks have tails?
Why do ducks have tails?
Yeah.
So they can hit you with them.
No, so they can cover their bum quack.
So they can cover their bum quack?
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's funny, sweetheart. You got any more?
Yep. Why is there 2 reasons not to drink from the toilet bowl?
What is 2 reasons not to drink from the toilet bowl? Because it's a toilet and because it's dirty?
No. Because number 1 and number 2 pooped in it.
Oh, geez. Thank you. Okay, if you love her jokes, make sure you leave a comment and she'll say more. Thanks, sweetheart.
Bye.
Give me a kiss. Okay, let me get back to work.
Love you.
I love you. All right, so we're gonna release our bridge puller, and we're gonna set some more keys, and we're gonna pull some more. But so far, it's coming right out. I'm pretty excited about this. The great thing about the Maxi Steel Repair Station from Dent Fix, their DF505DXE. This thing is awesome. We use it literally every single day. So, as you can see, we're basically repaired to here. I've got a little bit that needs to come out there, but this hump is back in it. We've got some pressure there. We're gonna key right here. All right, so now that I've got all the keys set up, I'm gonna get my bridge puller hooked back up and apply some pressure. And again, this is just gonna walk right out. In a lot of cases, this hood would have been replaced. In fact, I ordered a hood to replace it and decided I was gonna fix it because we're capable. Oh, did you hear that? Bang! What's coming? So now I'm gonna move to the rear. Actually, I might stop there. I'm gonna put a little bit more pressure. Oh, that came out, cool. Hold that right there. I'm gonna get up and with the hammer. Go, Billy. Just trying to release the pressure. I'm gonna reset some more keys, do some more pulling. That's the thing about bodywork is it's time consuming. That feels awesome. Now I've got a little bit there, some there, and this right here. So I'm gonna remove all these keys, get them out of my way. So I twist these so they don't tear holes. I wanna pull that real quick before as I was going, I noticed that this needs pulled. So I'm gonna hurry and rig it up and pull it. Okay, there we have it, folks. I just wanted to do that so that I didn't have to reset these again for another pull. These come off super easy. Now I'll reset the keys, get the bridge puller in another spot, and we're gonna keep going. I like to get down low and really look at what I'm up against. A little bit there. What we'll do is once we get all these key pulls done, we'll go through and use the Maxi by itself and really refine our work. So I want to get down on the same plane as the hood, watch it. I can see that whole dent is just walking out. It's so awesome. So I'm pulling pressure while I'm releasing pressure. It's the keys to success. Bada bing, bada bang. And now you can see by strategically placing your poles, I'm just about there. I feel like I can just grab my Maxi now and really fine tune. I've got some there, a little bit here, a little bit there, just a little bit here and there. So I'm gonna switch out my tip again. I'm gonna put my rod back in it and I'm gonna go to Pulling Town. What I'm doing is I'm just feeling, literally just using my hand and feeling what's low, going in to attack it. This is gonna be quite the transformation. I'm gonna take a break from the Maxi. I'm gonna hurry and just grind these, feel where I'm at. So now I'll get a DA, I'll hurry and DA that, and I'll be able to see exactly where I'm at and start massaging things real slightly. All right, we're getting close. So I've got some low spots I can feel. There's a high spot here I'm just gonna hurry and take care of. A little bit low there. This radius feels really good. A little bit down there. This feels really good. So what I'm gonna do is grab my massager. So I'm gonna take the massager and just start massaging. Ooh. So you also want to be careful that you don't pull holes. And that has a lot to do with your settings and your heat that you're putting into the panel. Nice. The most critical part of your body work is literally your metal work. If you don't have good metal work, you're not gonna have good body work. If you don't have good body work, you won't have good paint work. If you don't have good paint work, you have a mad customer. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so for the next 25 minutes, I'm gonna sit here and just keep massaging. And guess what, kids?
Perfecto.
Did exactly what I asked it to do. Definitely needs a little bit of filler, but this is like a $1,000 hood. So rather than changing it, we're able to get the metal work all done, use a little bit of body filler, we'll have this looking as good as new. We're gonna pull these parts off and we're gonna get the body work done so we can get these suckers primed. I'll start taking the bolts out of this And we're gonna put these on a stand and get them fixed right up nicely. This is the problem with bodywork. You can walk away and come back and fill it. And it's like, ugh.
Doesn't feel as good as it did when you left?
Well, no, you just feel different. But I'm happy with the way this is turning out. It's solid, it fits. And you know the saying, if it fits, it ships. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna ship this to the paint shop. So this is why I disconnected everything earlier, so that when this part came, it's easy. I'm gonna work on buzzing this fender off. I have a song that's just living rent-free in my head right now.
Is it? I know song that gets on everybody's nerves. Everybody's nerves. Everybody's nerves.
No, it's way better than that. It's an AI remixed song of Ice Cube that Hank Williams' voice is singing. And it's beautiful. It's called Straight Outta Compton.
Straight outta Compton, crazy mother named Ice Cube. From the gang called Fellers.
Oh, that, look at that. Factory shims. No way. Two in the rear. It's been a long time since I've seen shims on anything. But you know what? It is a Ford, so.
We have to pull the inner thing out to get to the bolt.
Oh, I forgot. Ford foams everything. 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 If anybody's ever worked on a Ford, they're super fun. Ford really likes to use foam. And so their inner panel that keeps dust out of the doors is foamed to the A-pillar.
Oh, there's no bolt there.
So we got to cut it because there's a bolt hiding. Maybe while Hillbilly's doing that, I'm going to mix up some filler. I'm going to get this hood spread. That way we can multitask because we don't want to live here tonight. We would like to go home at some point. All right, so I'm just spreading this and I'm covering where I've feathered everything out. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to sand it. And when I sand it back, it's going to feather it in and off of the paint. So I'm not putting a lot on the paint because I want to sand all of that off. I don't want any of my body filler to actually live on the paint. All I want is my glazing putty. So the way I'm going to spread this filler is the direction of the way this hood flows. So this kind of flows off this way, and then you go here, contours off the front. So I'm just trying to pull this nice and tight, and I'll get my contour here. The nicer you spread your filler, the easier it's going to be to sand. So I don't want to get super crazy. I don't want a ton of lines. I want to try to smooth it out to where I can sand it nicely. I'm going to let that harden up. The nice thing about this Optex filler is it goes from this pinkish color to blue when it's hard. So you can see that it's not quite hard yet. And as it dries, it's going to change colors. So that's how you know when it's ready to sand. We're going to try to multitask this thing. Hillbilly's working on the fender. Once he gets that off, we'll get it on the stand, we'll spread it, and we're going to get this in primer.
Finally got it.
I'll get this all spread. There's spots on here that I do not want filler. I've taken my tape and I've actually taped it out. I like easy. I don't like adding a ton of extra work. If you plan ahead and you take a few minutes and prepare for stuff, it makes things so much easier. Just get this all spread out, and then I'm gonna go sand the hood while this hardens.
You think anyone's ever tried to use like JB Weld as body filler?
Oh, I'm sure people use ramen.
Yeah, but ramen sands easier. JB Weld doesn't sand.
I mean, I've seen some weird stuff, so JB Weld's probably one of those weird things. Got that all spread. I'm gonna have Hillbilly hurry and clean this up. And then once that starts to go green, I'll peel the tape off. You can see this is hardened. See, that's the pink. This is the green. Now we're gonna rough it out. All right, so now you can see I've sanded this filler. It's just a tiny, tiny, tiny minimal amount. You can see my feathered edge. I'm off of the paint. I've got a little bit of an eyebrow right there. I'm gonna tap out of it. And then that'll be good enough to hit it with 180 on the DA, glaze it, we'll sand that, and this spot will be done. So I'm gonna take the next 25 or 30 minutes and I'm gonna sand the other big spot while this is hardening up, and we're just gonna keep going. But this is what I was telling you guys about. My body filler is not on the paint. That is critical.
Okay, the Bondo is starting to set up and kick. It's not really gooey, but it's not extremely hard. You don't want to wait until it's extremely hard to pull the tape off, or else you'll be fighting, ripping the tape, cracking big chunks out of the Bondo where you don't want it to crack, or the body filler. So you want to do it when it's just barely tacky. And then it peels it off and not rip the tape or not rip big chunks out of the filler. Now we just gotta wait for it to finish setting up before we can sand it. Okay, while Robby's over there sanding the filler up to where it needs to be, he's gonna have me 180 DA the sand scratches around the filler, so we can put icing on and these scratches won't be as noticeable.
All right, so I've got mine all sanded. This is just the first coat. You can see we've got it all the way back to the metal. I've got a few little issues I'm gonna take care of. We'll put one more coat on it and we'll sand it again and then we'll glaze it. This one, I'm just gonna DA this out like what he's doing. On this dent, I'm just gonna DA it. We'll glaze that, but this I wanna actually put one more coat of filler on. So this will be a 2 wiper. This one will be a single wiper. So that got it. So what I'm trying to go for is all the way around this where I've blocked it. I'm removing all the scratches out of all the paint so that it looks like this. So you cannot see scratches, because if you start burying scratches, all that stuff's gonna shrink. That is no bueno. So you wanna make sure you DA it with 180 after your 80 grit. Now we're gonna glaze this. Then we're gonna block that out with 180. Then we're gonna 320 that and remove our 180 block scratches. So what we're doing is we are deleting our scratches. That's how I do it. I don't know if you do it that way. I don't know if it's the right way, but it's my way, and it's worked pretty decent for the last 17 years. We'll get this spread again, and we'll move on to the fender. So I'm gonna do a little bit, or I already did a little bit of tapping. I just had a little bit of an eyebrow right here. This was a big inverted dent that we removed, so it's just kind of a given that we're gonna have a little bit of issues. It's pretty good, pretty happy with it.
Now, none of you guys criticize me on how to put this on, because you gotta remember, I'm still a beginner. I don't do this very much. This is normally Robby's job.
I think you do a great job, but just do it really thin. Wanna know why I don't criticize it?
Because you didn't do it?
Because it's one less thing I have to do, but I will help you. That's perfect. Now let me just help you out. So he did a pretty good job. He's got coverage. I'm just gonna try to remove the lines. And you just want, your glaze is literally just a thin layer. And what I'm pulling through it, you'll see some black. That's just a little bit of the sanding dust. It'll all sand out. And you gotta get to a point where you stop working it. I'll sit and overwork it. But, so that's super thin. He's gonna get that all cleaned up. I've got this halfway sanded. Got my filler sanded here. Got a nice little contour to it. Got my edges cleaned up. Now all I've got to do is sand the major part, and then it'll be ready for glaze. But this is coming out nice, very nice. As you can see behind me, it's really late, but we are working until it's done. Just about got this all sanded. I've just got a little bit more here. So this is kind of a technical spot. You may not think it, but this is straight and it rolls to the hood. Now this flows straight to the front of the hood, but it also flows around. And so right in this area, you have this really awkward transition that actually comes something like this. It's not straight, and it's not curved. It's more like rounded. So you've got all these different blocks you've got to use. You've got to use a really flat block here, a really flat block here, a flexible block here, a flexi block here, a hard block there, a 1-inch block here. I mean, it just takes a lot. And it takes, a lot of it is just experience. So you've got to kind of know what makes what curvature. One block does not fit all, and one block will not make something straight, or in this situation, round. So anyway, it's kind of crazy that you can actually use flat blocks and get a rounded area. So I've just about got this sanded. I think Matt's going to be pretty excited about this. You know, for those of you that aren't aware of what happened, this happened at the record games. An undisclosed person, not Fab Rats, was going 125,000 miles an hour pulling BlueSteel in the sand. And a soft shackle broke, and the rest is history, and now we're here. So anyway, if you want to know what happens when a soft shackle breaks and a rope goes zooming at BlueSteel at 500 miles an hour, this is what happens, okay? It breaks stuff. Have no fear, so we're fixing it. So Hillbilly's gonna grab the 180 on the DA, and he's gonna delete all of my sand scratches.
Scratch, delete.
Oh, I just saw a dent right here. We gotta fix. So we'll glaze that too. So I'm gonna exit out. Good thing I saw that. Little baby ding right there, but some glaze will fix it. Anyway, we're getting close. Closer by the second. I'm gonna mix up the glaze and get the fender all glazed up while Hillbilly's working on the hood. And we're getting there. I don't know where, but we're getting somewhere. And then we're just gonna use green. We're just gonna put a happy little tree right here. We don't call these mistakes. These are just happy little accidents. All right, so I just wanted to get the grinder marks out of that. Now, put a little bit of glaze right here because it's hardening super hard. So this is gonna harden up. I've got one spot on the hood that I can sand that is hard. As soon as he gets that mixed, I'll get the rest of the hood glazed. We'll have this done. All right, so in my blocking, I just found a dent and a low spot. I'm gonna hurry and sand the rest of this, and then we'll get some glaze and glaze that up.
Putting some tape down so we don't get glaze where we don't want it. This part of the hood is completely done. Has filler, glaze. Now I'm going to sand it with 320 to get rid of all the scratches so we can get ready for primer. Okay, so I 320 into all the scratches. Now time to do 600. One last spot right here to sand and get ready for primer. Already done back here. Done the driver's side, rear corner. Now just the passenger side, front.
And all I have to do is sand the rest of this fender, which is a ton of stuff. So I sanded all that, got it all ready for Hillbilly, so he's scratch deleting it. All right, so I've got this all sanded down with 180. It's super late. We're pushing
Midnight.
Holy crap. Okay, so it's midnight. Hillbilly's gonna get this all sanded up in the morning, get it all masked. As soon as I get back from my little girl's dentist appointment, we'll get this primed up.
You want hard line masked, right?
Absolutely. Just put a big X just right here. We've got the bodywork all finished on Matt's Off-Road's BlueSteel. Pretty excited about it. It's been a while since we've done some bodywork of this nature. We've been busy, but it feels good. It feels good to get back to what we're good at. You know, and I want to take a second and thank all of you commenters, the people that appreciate what we're doing. Thank you. We read your comments, we like your comments, and keep them coming. Just want to say thank you to everybody that supports us. We really appreciate you guys, but that's enough from tonight. It is tomorrow.
It's the next day. Last night, Robby was looking over everything and notice that there's still some scratches. So, means more sanding to do. Okay, got all the sand scratches all sanded out of it. So that means time to mask. And to prevent any hard lines, which is going like that and paint to the line, you want soft lines, and in order to do that, you put the paper down to cover your work, and then you fold the paper over itself. And that gives you a nice soft edge, so you don't have no hard lines. Just finishing up the last little bit of masking. I'm not too sure how to do this edge here, so I'll wait for Robby to see how he wants it done. But besides that, it's pretty much all masked up. Now I'll trade for wax and grease remover. And once I get that done, then I got to etch prime all the bare metal spots. So when Robby gets here, it's ready to prime.
All right, so I just got back from taking my little girl Adley to the dentist. We're putting some etch primer down. We've got to let this sit for 10 minutes, put a second coat on, then we're gonna be priming it. So we got all the bodywork last night done. Hillbilly got it all waxed and greased, and he got it all masked up this morning for us. So all we gotta do now, throw down some etch on all our bare metal, a few coats of high build primer, and we'll have this ready to sit for a couple of days. So I'm only hitting the bare metal. Now I'll let that first coat flash off. All right, the second round of etch on here. As soon as we spray it, I'm gonna go and mix up some primer. Making sure I go back over all the bare metal. That's gonna sit while I mix up primer. We'll come back in. Get it all primed. All right, so we are in the mixing room. And we are mixing up some ECP 35 for all of you numbers buffs. That is PPG primer. So I'm gonna hurry mix up 12 ounces. We'll get in there and we'll get it sprayed. All the primer's mixed up. We got our gun. We're using a Iwata LV400, a W400 LV. It's 1.4, it's what they recommend for the primer. We can get our first coat put down, let it flash, put 2 more, show you guys what it looks like when it's done. First coat is down. First coat's always the ugliest, but I prime all the way out and then I layer my primer in. So I'll bring my next coat in a little bit further so that no overspray ever gets encapsulated. So I'm gonna let that sit for 10 minutes, second coat, 10 minutes, third coat, guide coat, show you my coats, all the coats. Boom. So yesterday our Titan tank was incorrect. Today, they overnighted one from last night. We've got the correct Titan tank. This is gonna allow for Matt to never ever run out of fuel. He can fill it up one time for the rest of his life. He'll never have to fill up again.
With Matt, never say ever.
This is a 50-gallon tank. All right, so we got all the priming done. I guide coated it all so that we can see all the little things that we need to sand out of it. But that's it for today. So as always, we appreciate you. If you enjoyed this video, go check out this one.